Welcome to this submission for AGDQ 2023. I am Joseph Joestar316, and I will be running MGS2 Substance on PC, which I will be specifically running Snake Tales, which is a set of side missions within the game. It was included as part of the expansion of MGS2 Sons of Liberty, which I will be running through all 5 tales, A through E. So the estimate I'm providing for the any percent route is going to be 50 minutes. There is a potential incentive for the first Snake Tale that I'm running, a Wrongdoing, which has a saving the hostages, or just skipping that process and just going directly to Fat Man. It adds an extra 3 or 5 minutes to the run. But I'm going to be running through all 5 of these, starting with a Wrongdoing, and I will explain more as we get underway, starting right now. So like I said, Snake Tales is a set of side story missions which aren't really tied into the main story of the game. However, you get to play as Snake throughout sections of the plant, the tanker, arsenal gear, and other places related. So it is a alternate take on playing the game, where you're showcasing as Snake instead of what would be Raiden going into the plant, and Snake would normally be on the tanker. So right now we're tasked with finding aims, which we're going to be making our way over to Strut F. So right off the bat, we're already off to a different start than what you would normally be expecting, you know, going to the core to find aims. So because it's any percent, we're going to disregard any kills, alerts we may get. But I do want to try to minimize alerts in places where I don't want them. For example, you cannot open this door to conveniently find aims behind there. You cannot open that door if you're under an alert. So there are cases where we do want to play stealthy, even in cases where it may not seem necessary. So the direct route is going to Fat Man directly. If you want to save the hostages, which are in the core, in Shell 1. It adds in about another 3 to 5 minutes. It gives you a different ending to this mission. But for all intents and purposes, we're just going to go directly to Fat Man, which is the faster way to end it. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is get set up for Fat Man by rolling up to this trigger point. And as you may have noticed already, I've just been scrolling through the story text. Since there are really no cutscenes in Snake Tales, they just replace them with text. Alright, so we're gonna go after Fat Man with using the USP instead of the M9, because it is faster. Alright, so same thing as you normally would with Fat Man. You just take advantage of staggering him by shooting at his rollerblades, while shooting at him with the same USP to knock him off balance. It takes around 5 shots, I think, with the USP to knock him off balance. And then we're going to get a follow-up of 2 hits for every knockdown we get. And because I got really favorable RNG with his movement, this is a really fast fight. Fat Man can be very dynamic between where he goes, you know, where he turns. But if you keep up with him well enough, it ends it pretty quick before I can even finish explaining it. So for every Snake Tale, we're gonna see these credits scroll through, which are just basically, you know, marking the end of each Snake Tale, which, like I said, they're all side story-based missions, which take place within places like the tanker, the plant, but they don't tie into the actual, you know, tanker incident, the big shell incident, you know, Raiden, you know, taking the place of the plant, and Snake starting what was the prologue of the game as the tanker. And we're gonna go through each one, and as you may have noticed, I've been using this turbo, which is a feature built into MGS2 PC, which you're gonna hear this beeping quite a bit. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna give my face button inputs faster input than I could possibly do on my own, which is gonna be helpful for skipping things like loading screens, scrolling through all the texts, things of that nature. Alright, so we're just about done with the first snake tail of Wrongdoing. Like I said, I got really favorable RNG with Fat Man. So there's the score screen to confirm that I finished it. And then we're just going to move right on to Big Shell Evil. So Big Shell Evil is going to take place literally as Snake Tails A Wrongdoing takes where it ended. So we're starting from the Strutty heliport where we just fought Fat Man. And we're going to be making our way over to, Strut C, where we have to locate Emma. Again, a place where normally you would be finding her in Shell 2 if you were playing as Raiden. And then what you're seeing me do here with Turbo is what we call stair gliding, where you can get a very small window of where you can step onto the stairs a little bit sooner, as opposed to just going down steps normally. It just saves you maybe like tenths of a second for each occurrence, but over the course of a run, it can make a difference. Alright, so I'm going to take it very carefully here in Strut D. So we're going to shoot this guard, shoot that guard.
Nothing here.
Okay, then I'm going to collect this ration for a backup. He's going to spot me. I'm going to knock him off into the water. And just like that, like I was never even there. Because again, just like before, we don't want to have alerts in some places, which again... Oh, I'm sorry, that was an accident. Again, areas like this coming up in Strut C, you cannot open this door to the pantry to where Emma is conveniently hiding if you're under an alert evasion. So same rules with aims from before. So this is going to be the first of 2 guard rushes in Snake Tails B, which we're going to post up right at this spot here where the ammo box was for the USP. And it's also going to put me in a good vantage point to take out the SWAT team guards coming in, which again, got them pretty quickly. Killing them is faster, not only just of, you know, not waiting for the knockdown animation of tranking them, but it spawns them out faster. Alright, so we rendezvoused with Emma, and then somehow she got away during the midst of that fighting. I don't know, I just skipped through all the text. So what we have to do is go over to Strut A to log into... Or I'm sorry, Strut B, getting ahead of myself. We have to go into Strut B to log into a node to gain information as to where Emma possibly ran off to during the fighting. Which, long story short, she made her way all the way over to Strut F somehow. Don't ask me. But I just, you know, take what I can get. So basically, we have to log into the node in order to continue the rest of this, which, unfortunately, it just means a little bit more backtracking. Okay, we're just gonna stagger him, roll into him. Now, as you notice that guards are spawning in areas where they weren't before, or their patrols have changed, since we're backtracking, you know, it's just something to take notice.
Who is that? It's the enemy. I need help.
Alright, so we're just gonna ignore that guy again. So same as before, we're just gonna shrink the guy in the middle.
Nothing here. Who's that?
Okay.
I got him. Send reinforcements.
Okay, that was actually really close on that alert there. Alerts at this point wouldn't be the end of the world, but one of the things I don't think I discussed yet was, you know, despite running any percent, you know, there's areas where you don't want to get into an unnecessary encounter. Because for every knockdown I get, for every time I get shot at, which unfortunately happened in Strut D. It slows you down a little bit for each time it happens. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to let that Cypher move over a little bit. And then just make our way around and then down this hallway. Now we might get caught, which is fine. Because once you get to Strut F, it clears out. So now we have to find Emma in one of the rooms, which thankfully she's always in the same spot. But it's one of the areas in Snaketails B where if you get spotted in Strut F before you find Emma, it's actually a forced game over if discovered, meaning the game will give you a continue screen if you get spotted, hence the game over portion. So what we're gonna do is just gonna follow the walls here with Emma in tow.
Is there somebody there?
Nope, nobody here. Okay, just gonna make our way to the door. That guy's gonna turn around and be like, huh? How'd you guys get here? Alright, so I'm not gonna go back the same way I went before without Emma. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this chaff that I picked up on the way into Strut F, so I can have a little bit of an easier time to drag Emma across into Strut E. Except what we're gonna do is, as we get spotted, we're gonna have a change of heart and say, Emma, you know what? I brought you this far, but I think right here is good enough. You know, kind of need that little bit of break. But in actuality, what I did is what we call teleportation, where Emma will spawn to the closest exit based on where you leave her. Which is just a little bit of optimization rather than just dragging her all the way across. So, surprise, surprise, another guard rush. Alright, so I'm just gonna take out these 4. Okay, I did pick up a set. So we're gonna plant 4 claymores here, and they are stackable by convenience. So while the remaining guards that spawn in that stairwell run into that mine, or set of mines, I'm just gonna drag them into the exit. And then what I'm gonna do here is shoot the guards in both the legs. What that will do is it will buy me time to move Emma out without them dying right away and then spawning another guard in their place. And now we're up against a Harrier. I know, somehow I just went from Strutty to the connecting bridge. Unfortunately, I didn't get the quick setup where I go for a 5-hit setup with the Stinger missile launcher. So I'm gonna try to make up for lost time here by getting these follow-up hits, which I did get, thankfully. So he's gonna go right into phase 2, where once this cutscene starts, I'm gonna cancel it and fire a round off, followed by a second round. It's what we call die shots, which is basically Solidus basically shouting die while he's dropping the cluster bombs on the bridge. Okay, I actually lost sight of Solidus for a second. But no worries. Okay, that's unfortunate. But thankfully he's just gonna resume what he normally does, which is flying underneath the bridge and then doing the missile barrage spam. Which, thankfully, because it's slower, I have a little bit more time to get missiles in. Normally on higher difficulties for the Harrier, the missile barrage comes in really quick, so you don't have a whole lot of time to aim with the Stinger. And because I missed shots earlier, I did unfortunately get hit by one of them, but thankfully I did have rations in reserve if I needed them. And that is the end of Snaketails B. So far we're doing pretty good. Just a little bit of unfortunate Harrier fight, maybe some rooms. You know, I had a little bit of trouble with some guards. But one thing I don't think I mentioned about how this is being timed when it comes to Snaketails, despite there being score screens shown at the end of each one, is because I'm running all 5, we're tracking this in RTA rather than by IGT, the in-game score clock for each one, and then supposedly adding them all up together, as one might think. Because we're on PC and there are no loads, Everything is IGT based, so loads don't get calculated into the final time. The community has deemed it where RTA is the most dependable, given the fact that you can transition from one snake tail to the next, despite there not being any loads. As well as just due to the nature, it's hard to track all 5 without RTA. So there's our score screen for Snake Tails B. Like I said, it was a little bit of bad luck with the Harrier. And now we're gonna transition into the tanker, where Snake is also gonna change his outfit to resemble more of the Twin Snakes MGS1 outfit.
I got him. Send reinforcements.
Okay, I actually got a really unlucky shot with him, so I'm gonna reset that part, because this is an area where you can't have an alert going in. Otherwise, it makes it next to impossible to get up to the navigation deck with any kind of, good optimization. So that right there is what should have happened. So we're gonna go into deck A. And then normally this hatch is broken. Thankfully on Confidential Legacy, they somehow fixed it. And it just gives us a nice little direct shortcut to the cruise lounge at this stairwell here. Alright, so here what we're gonna do is I'm gonna trank and hold up one guard, let the other guard turn around. I'm gonna grab this M4 on that blocked stairwell there. And then I'm gonna turn and trank the other one. And then the reason for getting the M4 early is gonna be explained later. Alright, so I'm just gonna run by this camera while equipping the USP. Reminiscent of the tanker when you first come up here, normally you wouldn't be able to do this, which is shooting at the sensor. Because you don't get the USP until much later. And here in the navigation deck, we run into Meryl? Yeah, so Confidential Legacy is supposed to be a reference tie-in to MGS1. They actually remodeled Olga's model to resemble Meryl. And I'll also explain why I mentioned that as well. So we met up with Meryl, which now we're tasked with going in through the engine room, which is, again, pretty identical to what the tanker run would do, where you go up to navigation deck, deal with Olga. So we're gonna make our way to the engine room pretty close to the way we went in. Okay, we're just gonna go right back through the cruise lounge. We're gonna get spotted here, which is gonna be fine.
Who's that?
This is just something I have calculated in.
Enemy sighted. Requesting backup unit. Acknowledged.
Alright, so because I'm under an evasion, it puts these guys in a different position than they normally would be in. So I'm gonna use this railing here to drop down onto him. And then as I make this turn...
Return to your positions. Increase security. Understood. All units.
I got him. Send reinforcements.
What was that?
Who is that?
What's going on? Respond.
I need some help.
Okay, I was hoping to not get spotted here, but that's okay. It's just gonna make it a little bit slower to get into the second half of this room. Eh, don't worry, that guy's okay. He just had a nasty fall. So the sensors are placed differently than what you might normally expect coming through here. But thankfully, again, they're all in the same spot than what would be just normally going through the tanker. Including this very empty deck 2. Something I argue why I have to run through here, since there quite literally is nothing in here. No items, no guards. But I guess for that, immersion of going through the tanker, as some might say. Except we're going to be handling the upcoming guard rush here differently. Since I acquired that M4 from the beginning. Back on deck A. Or I'm sorry, Deck B. Alright, so I'm going to be collecting ammo for the M4 as well as the M9. Another ammo box here. And then we're just going to go right into what is typically the guard rush. The set of guards you have to fight in order to gain access to the holds, which we're not actually going to the holds. So we're just going to gun our way through. Alright, so again, it's gonna be like the same 8 of them with the last 3, which the M4 is just gonna make quick work of them. And then the fun part is making our way back, which now the M4 comes in handy, having to fight through these guys all the way back through the hatch I just came through. Alright, so you'll see me at times just kind of fire off a burst just to make sure there's not any guards in the distance I'm missing. Because they just infinitely spawn in, like, as you progress here. And because I'm using the normal camera, I can't really look ahead to see if they're there. So I'm just gonna fire off a set of, you know, burst rounds just to make sure I'm clearing it. Okay, I'm gonna fire one last round, or set of rounds there, so I can open this door. Alright, and of course, you guessed it. That's right, more backtracking. So we now have to make our way from the engine room all the way back up to the navigation deck that I was at the very beginning. So again, we're just gonna be making our way back to the engine room. Okay, I'm just gonna pop that ration so the bleeding trail doesn't, you know, get noticed by any of the guards. And just make our way out of the engine room. Alright, unfortunately, in this version of the tanker, they never repaired that door on the other side of the engine room, so we have to go the long way around to, you know, they could get back up to the navigation deck.
What's that?
Yep, those same 2 guards just tapping their feet.
Freeze! Freeze! No! Who is that?
Alright, so I did that hold up differently this time. Because I'm just going a more direct route into Deck C. I don't have to acquire a weapon. Like the M4 from before, where I had to buy myself some time. And then just make our way back up here. So this is where we're now fighting Meryl. I mean, apparently between when I first saw her and when we came back, we did something to upset her, so now she's trying to kill Snake. Thankfully, I'm just gonna be the nice guy and not try to, you know, kill her. So we're gonna use the M9, which, as you can tell, they're playing the theme to Olga, as well as hearing Olga whenever Meryl gets shot at. And then what you're seeing here is what's the Meryl loop, which is, again, identical to the Olga loop, where the AI is constantly trying to reload their gun while also getting hit repeatedly. Who knows, maybe Meryl was secretly an Olga fan. But that's basically what I was referring to earlier, where they basically took Olga and remodeled her as Meryl, you know, voice included. But that was Confidential Legacy. Alright, so we're about halfway there on the run. Coming up will be Dead Man Whispers, followed by the last Snaketails E, Externalgazer. And then the music that you're hearing here is from MGS2 Skateboarding. It's a separate play mode back on PS2, MGS2 Substance. Which unfortunately, over the years, from being ported from one platform to another and revived again through HD Collection and Legacy, Legacy Collection, the Snake skateboarding never made it outside of PS2, sadly. But I think it's cool that we can still hear the, you know, the rock and roll version of the MGS2 theme. Okay, so score screen's gonna come up for this one. Okay, then we're gonna go to Dead Man Whispers. So we're back at the plant, except we're playing as Pliskin. It's a guy that looks, sounds like Snake, moves like Snake. I don't know, maybe it's a coincidence. I don't know, he doesn't have the headband bandana, so it can't be Snake. But yes, we're playing as Pliskin.
Freeze.
As seen, you know, during the normal MGS2 story playthrough, where Ryder runs into a guy named Iroquois Pliskin, who again sounds, looks, and moves like Snake, but surely is not Snake.
Enemy sighted. Requesting backup unit.
So we're starting from strut F, and we have to make our way through to strut B.
Freeze.
And again, I'm just doing a series of holdups.
Freeze.
And then here, we're gonna hit a trigger to continue on to the next portion. So what I'm gonna do is equip the USP now, and grab the ammo out of this locker, which I'm gonna need for both this cipher, as well as letting this guard know I'm here.
It's the enemy. I need that.
Alright, unfortunately I got shot at in the back when I was trying to get away, but that's alright.
Freeze.
Alright, so we're just gonna hold up that guy and then just make our way out through strut C. Pardon me. Alright, so thankfully, entering strut D, like I did with strut B, cancels out any active alerts, evasions. So I don't have to worry about it carrying over into strut D, which is not really a place where you want to be undergoing an alert. Since before, any alerts that you sustain will carry over from one area to the next.
Freeze.
Don't mind me, just passing through.
Enemy sighted.
So we're now in strut E, and we're gonna take a little shortcut off this railing here, down the steps. And we're gonna be making our way through into the KL connecting bridge through this hatch. Alright, and just like that, we somehow went across the oil fence line, and now we're in strut L. An area where you normally would be is right in with Emma, trying to make your way back through into Shell 1. Except now we're going into Shell 2. Okay, we're just gonna use that spot to quickly knock out that cipher, ignore everything else. And then because I took that damage from earlier, I'm just gonna grab that ration quickly. Which I'll explain why that's important for later, being at full HP. Whoops, stuck in that corner. So, Snake has a bit of an issue here, where the room he needs to get into has an electrified floor panel. So, luckily, he doesn't have to go as far as Raiden did for acquiring the Nikita missile launcher. The remote-controlled missile launcher. Used in the game normally, except the vent pathway in here is different. As you can see, some of the ventilation ducts are blocked off with these either some debris or just these bars. Alright, so thankfully there's no President Johnson or anybody that we have to worry about, you know, running the missile into. Instead, we're just gonna blow up the power box like you normally would, and then just trigger into the next room. Alright, so got everything we needed to do. Now gonna make our way to the elevator for the next boss fight, which is against Vamp. Now again, maybe this is a Pliskin thing and not a Snake thing, but Pliskin just seems to be able to travel from one part of the shell, you know, to the next part, and I don't know, really super fast. Because look, he's just gonna enter this elevator, scroll through some text, and then all of a sudden he's in the filtration room where Vamp is. Yeah, I guess maybe they didn't want to make Snake swim. So we're gonna shoot around at a Vamp's head to get him going underneath the water while I hang on to this ledge in hanging mode here while I wait for Vamp to get closer. Okay, so we're gonna get up and then we're just gonna start punching him, which is very similar to what's done in the run normally to Vamp, where he just exposes melee swing animation by being close to him. And then we're just gonna kick him into the water for extra swag points. Not that you have to end it with a kick, but it just looks really cool when you do. And that is Snaketail's D, Dead Man Whispers. So, as you can tell from the route so far, we're hitting these encounters which are reminiscent of the main story, where you do a recreated Olga fight, Fat Man, Harrier, Vamp I just did, and Externalgazer is going to be the final one we're going through, which is going to tie in parts of the plant, parts of Arsenal gear, some space and VR. It's going to get pretty bizarre, to say the least, on what's coming up. Once again, just waiting for the credits while enjoying the skateboarding theme. Okay, so coming up on the score screen for Dead Man Whispers. Alright, so a little over 7 minutes. And now we're on to the last part, Externalgazer, where things are gonna get pretty weird. So we're just minding our own business, going up to the connecting bridge, and then suddenly there's something in the water. And then, hey, VR? I didn't sign up for this. Okay, so we're not, wait, I'm in VR again? Oh, man. Yeah, it's tying in VR as part of Externalgazer. So you don't actually have to complete the VR stages, you could just exit through them. You know, unless if you want to do, you know, bomb disposal and, you know, eliminate all enemies. But you don't have to. You can just skip through, not all of them, but through most of them.
Freeze.
Alright, so we're just gonna hold him up. Alright, I'm just gonna go right through this cipher. Okay, that's interesting. I was trying to go for a quick knockout. Instead, we knocked each other out. No big deal. So we're just gonna trank those two guards so I can get away from the SWAT team, which have very impressive Stormtrooper aim, as you just saw. So now we're back at the AB connected bridge, and then... Wait a minute. There's something in the water. god, it's Garlogan! A giant-sized Garlukovich soldier that resembles something like Godzilla. I know, it's definitely not out of the ordinary to find that here. So, I was a little bit slow on trying to get the picture, so I'm gonna have to wait for him to surface again. It's random when Garlogan decides to surface. A lot of times he's just going back and forth like he's doing now. Maybe he's a bit camera shy for the submission video. Come on, Garlogan. Alright, there we go. You have to get a good enough picture in order to trigger this guard rush here. Yeah, unfortunately I was a little bit too close to him. So we're just gonna do the same thing. Quickly knock him out. Oh, wait. I missed that one. Alright, so there's 6 of them in total. 4 at the beginning and then 2 that spawn in afterwards. Alright, so you got monsters in the ocean, guards that spawn in, and... Olga? Oh, okay, it's not that Olga. You know, the one from the tanker. It's an Olga from a different dimension, actually. I know, it makes total sense. Just like... Oh boy, it's Garlogan himself. Okay, so we got a bunch of weapons everywhere, you got a giant-sized monster. So, I'm gonna show you really quick this thing's weakness. A magazine! Yep, Garlogan just can't help himself when he sees a magazine on the floor. Yeah, so rather than aiming at the weak points as you normally would do, you can just use the magazine and just, you know, cheese them. So now we're entering the part of the run where we have to do these VR stages, unlike the ones from earlier where I could just skip them. I actually have to do these in order to advance. Otherwise, you'll just be stuck, you know, reattempting them if you keep trying to exit out. Like before. So the first one was sneaking mission. Next one we're gonna do is handgun 3. Okay, we're just gonna aim at the orange targets, which are explosive. And it'll take out multiple targets that they're next to. Including that set of 4 there, that set of 4 over there. And then this is the last set.
Congrats, Snake.
Alright, next one coming up is going to be eliminate all enemies. But a sneaking version. You know, so I have to eliminate them, but I can't be spotted by anybody. Okay, so I'm just going to wait for that guy to turn later. Alright, so I did that a little bit out of order, what I normally do, but it's okay.
Congrats, Snake.
Alright, next one is Sneaking Mission 8. Alright, so we're gonna go up and to the left here, and then we're gonna wait underneath this camera. Okay. That's unlucky. But thankfully the estimate has things like this and, you know, built in case they happen, especially on stages like this. So once again, we're just gonna go right underneath the camera. Correction, we're gonna get spotted by the camera that I was trying to avoid. Alright, so third time's the charm. Alright, so underneath the camera. Knock out this guard. And then we're gonna knock out this guard coming up there. Now we're gonna wait for that camera to turn along with this guard that's turning 180 each time. Hold them up. Roll up the stairs and into the goal.
Congrats, Snake.
Okay, and that should be the end of the VR stages for Snake here. Now, you briefly take over his Raiden, and I quite mean that literally. You control his Raiden for that portion. You just skip out of the VR because it's an endless trap if you continue to do it. And the game is basically telling you to exit the VR system. So now we're in Arsenal gear somehow, fighting these rays. So we're using the Stinger missile launcher that's conveniently placed in the middle. And then as I get these set up, we're just aiming at these rays in a particular pattern where we're going middle, right, left. Okay, we're gonna aim at the ray in the middle to knock him out. Followed by that ray in the distance. Okay, that was a little bit of bad luck. Alright, so this should still be fine. It's just going to be a little bit slower. Because what I'm attempting to do is do what we call a ray loop, where we're trying to take out the ray that's on stage while also preemptively lining up damage on the next ray that's due up. So we do damage to the ray that's currently on stage while also doing damage simultaneously to a ray that's out off the stage plus the one that's behind them. So while one ray is eliminated and, shuffling off the stage, we're dealing damage to a ray that's close by. And then we rinse and repeat this until we're finished. Okay, that actually worked out for the better. Having my shot getting blocked like that, not that I intended that, but it can happen. So again, it's just going to keep this ray here while I set up shots on the rays close by. And that is the end of rays. And now we're on to possibly the hardest part of the entire run, which is Solidus, because unlike Raiden dealing with them in the normal part of the game, we don't have a blade to work with. And Solidus is very, very finicky when you don't have the blade to protect yourself. So what we're trying to do is get him into, low enough stamina so he can start doing these missiles, which he's refusing to do. But that's okay, we're just gonna try to bait out an attack, whether if it's with his blades or his tentacle arms and his shoulders.
Take this.
Okay, so now he's doing the missiles, so what I'm gonna do here is rinse and repeat where I knock him down. Okay, never mind, I guess he decided not to do missiles.
What's wrong with you?
Okay, I'm actually not sure how that happened, but it did. Yeah, like I said, this is really the worst part of the run, is dealing with Solidus, because he's very, very finicky, doesn't like to stay put. Okay, we're gonna bait out a power swing. Alright, so now that I got him knocked down, I'm gonna stay away to hopefully try to get missiles, which now I got. Okay, we're gonna back away. Okay, I am getting really bad RNG with Solidus. Okay, now we're getting missiles. We're gonna knock him down. Move away. It's gonna do missiles again. Yeah, see, normally this is what you want to be doing, is you knock him down, he does missiles. You can just avoid them by running right in the middle. And then you just rinse and repeat that until you get him down to about 40%. Well, 39% stamina, so he can get rid of the tentacle arm. You know, normally what would be phase 2. And this is where it gets even more complicated, because now he's just going to be continuously zipping around. Now, thankfully, I have the leg up by just rolling into him when he's zipping around.
Take this. Take this.
Okay, and then every once in a while, if I get lucky with dodging either his blade attack or getting elbowed, I can try to get some hits in, but this is where it gets really dynamic.
Over here. Die. Over here. Over here.
Okay, just gonna do it again, knock him down.
Let's go. Take this. Is that the best you could do?
Okay, apparently I just punched him through iframes. Alright, so just gonna knock him down again.
What's wrong with you?
Okay, that's actually lucky I got hit by the fire. So I can get knocked back in. Also, another monster with the big shell.
The human race is about to slide back.
And one way or another, that is Externalgazer.
And we cannot afford to play the Russian roulette again. It is your
Time will end once the credits finishes up and we get the final score screen. So again, I just want to thank you all for watching this submission video of MGS2 Substance Snake Tales on PC. It's a very fun category to get into, whether if it's any percent, perfect stealth, no kills, which is something reminiscent of big boss runs.
in our government.
It does take places at different parts of the game without having to like play through an entire, tanker plant playthrough.
Of confronting this party, thwarting their plans and guiding this nation.
Also, fun fact, this is the Sorrow Scream in MGS3.
The future of the country rests.
I actually didn't know that at first until like someone pointed it out to me, and I heard it, and now I can't unhear it ever since.
Experience the horror of nuclear war. As a father, I want to leave a better world for the future generation. As a soldier, I know that is my duty. Trust.
All right, so time will come up on the score screen in 5, 4, 3, 2, very long 2, 1, and time.
Cecil!
Yeah, so 47, 21, 21. Out of a 50-minute estimate, given if we do the saving the hostages or not. Had really bad luck with Externalgazer on the Sneaking VR Stage 8, as well as Solidus giving me a hard time, but like I said, I do enjoy running this category when I don't run the full game that I normally do, and like I said, I encourage any and all to check out Snake Tales, whether it be on PC, HD Collection, if you have a copy of on PS2 Substance, or whatever version you have that has it. It's definitely worth a playthrough, and it's a lot of fun. And of course, thank you all so much for tuning into this submission video for AGDQ 2023. And have a good rest of your day.